Okay, hello everyone. This is Sharonda, and this is my podcast as well as my YouTube channel, Spiritual Sense. And in this podcast, as well as YouTube channel, I go over topics in regards to the paranormal, occult, supernatural. So I speak on curses, hauntings, demonology, angels, demons, spirit guides, um, spiritual apathy, spiritual manifestation, spiritual renewing. I also discuss belief systems such as Yoruba, Scientology, Black and White Magic, Wiccan, Hoodoo. I'd like to start off by saying that this podcast, as well as this YouTube channel, is for entertainment purposes. It's not a debate, it's an open social discussion on those topics. Although I bring up the biblical text, it's not a biblical nor religious podcast. Again, it's not a biblical nor religious podcast. And so today's topic for today that I'm going to speak about is I just did my tarot card reading and I said that I felt as though the reading was applicable to someone who had an attack on his and or her family in regards to the psychic attack of the mind for the battle of the soul. Oftentimes, it will manifest itself by the physical for a for a battle for your soul for to make a spiritual transition or biological death. Okay, so many people don't believe in curses. Many people don't believe in hexes. Many people don't believe in jinxes. It's all based on the language that you use or the meaning that you use. Because although you may not refer to it as a curse, a hex, or a jinx, you may refer to it as something else. Anything that is unfavorable to transition you away from this space is, in my definition, is a curse, a hex, or a jinx. Okay, so I'm going to go over curses, hexes, and jinx, root worker or root work as well. Oftentimes, you will find that there's so many things apart from your own understanding that can present itself to you. Many of the times, it's hard to know all of the things that is to know in the world. It's hard to know who our enemy is. Oftentimes we could hope that being nice and being of service to people and showing acts of kindness towards people, you will receive that same reciprocation. But you got to understand there are some spirits in this world. I'm just going to put it out there. No matter how good you are to him or her, their lost souls are demonically led despite of whatever you do. So in situations such as that, here in just a moment, grab a bottle of water. You have to rely on the spiritual knowing and understanding to recognize and to ask God to block those enemies away from you. So I am going to proceed on this website. I hate to read it verbatim because oftentimes, when I go on these websites, a lot of the times, I'm reading off the account of what someone puts on here. So I try not to read it verbatim. But the website that I'm on speaks about the differences between jinxes, hexes, and curses. A jinx are small, relatively harmless spells. So they're very minor, as it has here, annoyances that are temporary. Casting a jinx mainly makes you feel better about a situation, is what it has here. They're trivial, as it as it mentions, it's mean spirited. Examples: a spell of a shattered sight to make someone appear less attractive to their own eyes. A jinx to send sand or dirt into someone's sheets at night. A jinx that causes the target to step in water when wearing socks. A spell to send someone nightmares. So it says those are little trivial things that people can do. So basically, from my gathering of that, like a jealous, something that's jealous. You have jealousy, you have envy. Envy, we all would be envious about something. Jealousy is, I think it's like you have somebody, you can have somebody that's envious. Then you have jealousy. Jealousy can I don't use jealousy in a small sensibility. I think we all have felt the feeling of jealousy. However, when it gets to the point where you are trying to take someone away from what is for them, that's when it gets out of hand. And I think by way of jinx, that can be perpetuated. Something minor, but when it's personally feel like something is deep down in this person that there's something going on with that person or individual. A hex is much stronger than a jinx. These spells will send negative energy towards your target, depending on your intention, but the hex won't last super long. A hex is either seasonal for a set duration of time, or stops working when the target learns their lesson. Hexes are often when someone continues to do wrong and you need them to change. So, a common hits are a seasonal hits to alienate the target's friends and family, a hits to make someone regret leaving you, a hits to make it difficult for a player to find love, a hits to destroy someone's hope. So it's a little bit more, like jinxes, when I think it's in social gathering when it's being perpetuated out. Hex is if someone goes, they have the powers to uh, manipulate someone to get out and do some harm to you or the next individual. A curse, it says, unlike hexes and jinxes, curses are meant to last for a long time, such as a generational curse. So there is a difference. Like it just showed me a jinx is if like somebody, you got in an argument with somebody and then they walked outside and fell on the ground. A hex is if you take it, if you have the ability to manipulate others to come against. But a curse is when it has been placed on a bloodline or a family. Is what it lets me know. It's long standing. A curse can be placed on a person, family, place. Curses really are the worst of the worst and should be saved for the dire situation. It says it's typical for witches to cast curses on their abusers or on someone who made their life a living hell. Some examples of curses are a curse to strand someone alone in life. Like if you are always in, you never can seem to get out ahead. It seems like every time you want to go do better, all of a sudden, something happened in your life to re-circumvent you and put you back 3 or 4 steps. That's a curse. A curse to destroy a romantic relationship or marriage. There could be a situation where someone is always placed in a situation where they are, quote, the home wrecker, so to speak, or always the side person or the mistress. As they say, always a bridesmaid, never a bride, so to speak. A curse to make the intended feel helpless. A damsel in distress. The professional victim. A curse to return the hurt that someone has done. Now, we all would be vengeful about something. That is normal. If someone comes at me and beats me and causes me pain and suffering, are you think I'm going to get up and have happy thoughts and happy feelings towards this person? No. And I don't think the average person will. So some curses come without saying. But when you are continuously in a cycle such as the battered woman syndrome, I feel as though that is a form of a curse. I do. Teenage pregnancy. I feel as though that is a form of a curse if you have it to where it is a repetitive thing that occurs within a lineage or perhaps a family history. That's the way I view it. I don't mean to step on anybody's shoes in mentioning these things, but they are real. They are real. So I have defined what a curse is, what a hex is, as well as a jinx. So we're going to proceed to root work because I'm going to entitle this episode today Hexes, Jinxes, and Root Work. So it is a part of our history who is our history as African Americans, Black Americans, or Africans in America, however you want to say it. But it mentions that root work is an ancestral form of alchemy, which includes herbalism, mediumship, and divination. So, what is herbalism? Herbal medicine is the use of plants, roots, grass, and weeds for therapeutic remedies. When you were growing up, it mentions did your mother, grandmother, or other family members go into the woods to pick leaves, weeds, and roots to make tea, soups to drink for illness or to prevent illness? Um, this is a form of herbalism, as she has indicated here. Mediumship is the practice of communicating with spirits, um, where you receive messages by way of family members, messages in your dreams. Yes, mediumship. I refer to that as she refers to as mediumship, like the third party or the go-between person. Like you would have here, what's in the middle, medium, and then this here. I refer to that as spirit channeling, spirit conjuring. That's what I feel that is. Divination means to prophecy, predict, foresee, or gain insight into a situation by way of mediumship. And tools such as the Bible, cartomancy, pendulum, and or a set of bones. Some people grew up with a mother, grandmother, or family members who use these tools to get insight and help them in their circumstances or personal situations. Um, so she also mentions it here about debunking the myths, referring to it as witchcraft. There's a propaganda enforced around Protestant Christians who felt the need to control enslaved Africans through their religion. So these teachings were heavily internalized as generations were raised in these churches. Many root workers assimilated into church and became leaders and healers in the communities. Many prefer to go to these healers and conjurers over white physicians who use them as a degrading experimental project or their white owners who lack medial knowledge. So this what it has here. You know, they were from what I'm understanding, because they had no understanding as to what was going on, they demonized the practice of what that whole herbalism and uh, practice and belief were, according to this. Voodoo and hoodoo root work are the same. Voodoo is a West African traditional religion. It mainly came from the area known today as Benin. Hoodoo, which is root work, is an actual practice in the American South, originated out of the struggle to maintain a relationship rooted in ancestral guidance and reverence. You may have heard someone say that someone put voodoo on them or someone else. This is impossible because voodoo is a religion, and the rituals that are used for survival against enemies. But when the knowledge got into the wrong hands, people used it for their own egoic, petty purposes, and the outcome became negative, which results them to blame the practice and not the practitioner. So, when I did research on voodoo and hoodoo, one really couldn't give a definitive explanation. It was kind of like a conglomerate, but in agreement, voodoo is a religion and hoodoo was a practice. Okay. I receive in my spiritual being that that's God way of giving you discernment about what is being said, who it's coming from, because you have to understand the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And oftentimes he and she can be very deceptive. So you'll begin to know when someone looks to profit off of your suffering and off of you. And oftentimes we will see, as I mentioned about, being a teenage mother, um, when it's repetitive in a lineage or a family or culturally, that can be considered a curse. Using that as an example. So oftentimes you will see how certain things, you got the powers that may be or entities or spirits that can capitalize off of that, off of your nature. Okay. I'm not going to, without touching on too many subjects, because something just came to mind, a commercial that just came to mind, and I don't want to step on anyone's shoes, and I don't think that they will feel offended, but somebody listening out there may take it, twarp it, and twist it, and make some out of it that is not true. Okay, so I just leave it at that. So it says root work is not a religion, but a practice that one inherits by birth line. One is born into this practice. If someone is drawn to this practice, it's usually because a family member, more than likely an ancestor, also practiced. Every family has a healer among them. Therefore, the gift is passed down from generation to generation. Okay, so that's what she has indicated here in regards to root work, curses, hexes, and jinxes. Okay. It also revealed to me that a lot of these words was used to throw off true meaning and understanding, and you got to be very careful when you begin to focus on this to see how the mind thinks and how it is conditioned to view life. Okay, so how do you remove a curse or a jinx? Number one, the battle is for the mind, so self confidence. Number one, self confidence. Don't believe everything that presents to you. Um, Now, I I've seen this a couple of times. I even mentioned this to some people before, and they, looked at me like I was crazy because, the person reached out to me and asked me, because even though I don't consider myself Wiccan, I do have, some digital Wiccan books. I mean, I got one or two around here somewhere, and it's herbalism. So it may be used by way of Wiccans, but it's herbalism. I mean, we all of this earth, we all at some form of fashion would use some of the same similar products. So just because I use what you use does not mean that I necessarily are using it with the same intent and purpose as you are using it. Okay? So 4 ways to remove a curse. Breaking a curse is one of the many skills of a seasoned witch. Number one, you want to do a cleansing bath. You don't necessarily have to do a cleansing bath. You can do a cleansing shower. Get you some Epsom salt, rosemary, chamomile. You want to do a citrus oral cleanse with lemon and salt. Now, I'm gonna tell you, you could think this is crazy. This is not. I kid you not. If you take a lemon, I had a relative to tell me this because I was a herbalist ever since I've been a teenager. So this has been something that has been ingrained in me. And as I got, more older, in my career, I kind of stepped away from a lot of those things, and now have began over the last, I say, 7 years now, reintroducing that back into my life. Citrus oral cleanse with lemon and salt. If you take your salt, cut it up, get you a bowl, put water in it, and put you some salt on that water and just lay it in there. Or you could just cut the salt and cut the lemon, put the salt, and just put it on a windowsill or a table. I kid you not, I don't know what it is about the aura of a lemon, but it brings in enlightenment and clarity and good sensibility. And I mean, I mentioned this before. Another herb that is good is rue, RUE. Now, I don't know if it's a specific herb, like a personalized herb for me. You may see the same herb as something else. I don't know. But it came across, a search, and I was searching herbs a couple of years back. And when I purchased this herb, and it does not have the most pleasant taste nor smell, and do take caution to this herb because you can use it as a tea, but it does have bleeding properties to it, so it can cause the blood to thin. So take caution to that. But my main purpose that I used it for was to burn, and as such. And I bought this herb. Soon as I open that herb up, this is no exaggeration. It's called Rue, RUE. It's one of those spiritual herbs like myrrh or frankincense, and the room just instantaneous. You know how when you in a church, a very common church that is very and let me make sure I'm not running out of time. Okay, I got about 7 minutes, less than 7 minutes. But it's a very common herb. Um that same feeling you get when you're at a church or you're at a happy place, you're at somewhere where it just seems so, it's just a aura of peace and tranquility. I experienced that when I first got that room. It is a very, very highly spiritual herb to have. And I did not consume it, I didn't even touch it. I simply opened the package. I kid you not. It's that powerful. It says protective salt barriers use a mixture of salt water, smoke cleansing, is also something good for breaking the curse. There are chants that you can say if you're wanting to partake in removing the hits or removing the curse. Again, with salt, there's uh, you can and take some salt and put some salt around the perimeter of your home. That will protect you and shield you from any injury, harm, or danger. Again, these things has to be done consistently. You cannot slack when it comes to spirit work. It is very, you have to keep up with it. That's the only way I can put it. Because the curiosity is going to always come in to what? To make you appear to be incompetent. You got to recognize that taunted spirits love to prove a point. And they do this by way of, I told you it wasn't going to work. We all know those types. Those are trolley trolls. I call them trolley trolls. I also refer to those as taunting spirits. We know those types. So you're gonna always have testers that was come around and tell you to the contrary, but that is the truth. It does work. You have to stay true to it. You have to stay up with it. And one of the things that you're going to realize is you have to have somebody that has spirituality because it's hard to do these things when you have children because their spirit is contrary to this existence. So it takes somebody that has gotten ingrained and engaged into a ritual, into a uh, discipline and order and structure and guidance. So if you don't have any children that has those capabilities, these things are not going to help in terms of behaviors. That's going to be a part of. I'm talking about someone that's coming to your home to attack and get your older children off focus is what I'm getting at. Because as we know, children can be very what mischievous. They can be very disobedient, and it won't work for them. Okay. So again, with salt, you can do a spiritual bath with salt. It says take a shower, fill the tub with warm water, add 2 cups of Epsom salt, 10 drops of rosemary essential oil, or you can add 2 tea bags of chamomile tea. Let the negativity wash away with the bath. And I kid you not, you will literally feel, and if you are lucky enough, you may even see the negativity remove away from your space. Protect the salt barrier. Again, you can just take some uh open the windows and doors, sweep the floors clean, and thoroughly vacuum, mop the floors inside and out with a mix of water and salt. Just do it. Just do it. I mean, I know it may seem as though, okay, that's a ploy to get me to clean up. Yeah, that is true. But also, you will begin to see why you're continuing to go back in this cycle of contentment and laziness and feeling down and out and fatigue and things of the sort. It's because the money forces have come against you and you have let someone say something to you to break your spirit and to get you down and out to where you become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if someone tells you you're nasty and you're not good enough, well then you're gonna circumvent that and you're gonna perpetuate the exact things that they just spoke upon you. So that's a part of a curse and a jinx. So I'm going to hurry up and go ahead and conclude this episode of Spiritual Sense, speaking about jinxes, curses, and root work. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you're more than welcome to comment in the comment section below. Until then, have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.